Have you ever wondered? Ever wondered?
Hi, I'm Carlene Cross, best-selling author, teacher, television producer, and seeker. I have been fascinated with this question all of my life. I grew up on a Montana ranch and would run into the grasslands, gaze up at the distant peaks, and wonder, who is God and why am I here? These questions prompted me to enter a Bible college, where I threw myself into my studies. After I graduated, I married a conservative minister and embraced my role as a pastor's wife. However, after 10 years of a very difficult marriage and troubling questions about fundamentalist church doctrine, I took my 3 young children and left the marriage and the church. I discarded my faith, entered the university, and earned a master's degree in history, completely embracing the scientific worldview. A few years later, I became the coordinating producer on the Bill Nye the Science Guy show, and yet my curiosity about the meaning of life would not let me be. And so I began to study again in comparative religion and wrote my first book, The Undying West, and then my second, Fleeing Fundamentalism. Not long after Fleeing Fundamentalism was published, my son Jason was killed in Afghanistan. He was a paratrooper with the 173rd Airborne, and he had died in one of the most controversial battles of the Afghan War. I simply could not understand his death. He was a kind, talented young man, an artist and a photographer who had his whole life ahead of him. How could someone so vital be taken away so early? And where was his essence? Had it simply returned to the earth? And yet my mother's intuition felt like Jason was still around in some form. I decided to go on a quest. I would study every belief system in the world that I could in order to find answers. But this time I wasn't just going to study, I was going to participate. I prayed, I fasted, I chanted. I did Qigong, transcendental meditation, yoga. I studied with a powerful Kiro shaman who had been trained in the Andes. I attended an Episcopal seminary. I studied Western and Eastern philosophy and mysticism, met with quantum physicists and spiritual teachers. I've learned a lot in my journey, a lot about life and about spirituality, but I know there is so much more to learn. One thing I do know, there are many of you out there who wonder about the same things. If you do, you've come to the right place. Join me as I interview leading scientists, spiritual leaders, medical doctors, mystics, philosophers, and everyday people about the question of our existence. Welcome to Have You Ever Wondered?
Have you ever wondered? Ever